This is an analysis from Alpha Business Media.
I want you to picture something for a second. Obviously, if you're driving on the ring road right now, maybe don't close your eyes. But for everyone else, imagine this. The year is 2026. You're walking through a new, sleek office complex in Biluwatar.
Okay.
You go past the open-plan desks down a hall, and you stop at this, heavy, locked steel door. You swipe a key card, there's a click, and you push it open and are just hit with a blast of freezing cold air.
The server room, the nervous system of the company.
Exactly, the server room. And right there in the middle is the rack. It's got that low, constant industrial hum that you can sort of feel in your chest, and you see them, those blinking green lights.
Flash, flash, flash.
For decades, for so many Nepali CFOs, that site has been the ultimate comfort blanket. It feels like safety. It feels like, I own this, my data is right here, I can literally touch it.
It's tangible proof of your infrastructure. It represents ownership, control, security, or, at least that's the story we've been telling ourselves for the last 20 years.
But here's the twist, and this is why we're doing this deep dive. That feeling of comfort, it's a complete financial illusion. In fact, we're going to argue that if you're looking at those blinking green lights in 2026, you're not looking at an asset anymore.
You're looking at your organization's biggest liability.
That's a huge claim.
It is a provocative statement, I know, but the data backs it up. We're unpacking a really fascinating analysis called Enterprise ERP, the case for SaaS over on-premise in 2026. And our mission here is to look at the hard numbers, specifically in the unique Nepali context, and explain why that ownership premium, that extra you pay to own your own hardware, is actually just a massive anchor on growth.
And why shifting to SaaS, software as a service, is probably the shrewdest move you can make.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's get right into that financial illusion.
Yeah.
Because normally when you buy something tangible, like a delivery truck or a piece of land, that's an asset. It goes on the balance sheet. So why is a server rack different? Why is this analysis calling it a liability?
It all comes down to the difference between, let's say, the sticker price and the actual reality of keeping it running. The analysis uses this concept of total cost of ownership, or TCO.
TCO, right.
Most businesses, they look at the invoice for the server hardware, the capital expenditure, or CapEx, maybe 5 or 10 million rupees, and they think, okay, that's the cost, depreciate it over 5 years, and we're done.
That's the visible part, the price tag.
But that's just the tip of the iceberg. The hidden costs, the ones below the waterline, are massive, especially here in Nepal. The report argues the ongoing operational costs, the OPEX, just to keep that metal box humming. It bleeds the company dry in ways that aren't obvious.
And I'm guessing we're not just talking about software licenses here. We're talking about the physical reality of running high-end electronics in Kathmandu.
Precisely. You have to look at our specific infrastructural context. Let's start with power. I mean, yes, the days of 18-hour scheduled load shedding are gone. We have power. But ask any facilities manager, is the grid clean?
Definitely not. You get unscheduled outages, voltage fluctuations, those really scary power surges during the monsoon that can just fry your equipment.
Exactly. And
Right.
delicate server hardware, it hates that. It needs a perfect, stable sine wave of electricity. So you can't just plug a 10 million rupee server into the wall socket.
Like a coaster, yeah.
Right. You need layers of redundancy. You need expensive industrial-grade UPS systems to smooth everything out. And those batteries degrade. They need replacing every few years. That's another cost.
And that's just for the small blips. What about when the power actually goes out for an hour?
Then you need the big guns, high-capacity diesel generators that have to kick in immediately. And just think about the logistics of that. The price of diesel is not exactly stable.
To say the least.
Plus, you have to store it, maintain the generator, test it. It's a whole separate logistics operation just to keep the computer on.
It adds up so fast.
Yeah.
But there's another power problem the report highlights that people often forget about. The heat.
Oh, yeah. Thermodynamics is the enemy. A rack of modern servers generates an unbelievable amount of heat. The analysis says a single loaded rack can generate enough heat to keep a small apartment warm in winter.
Wow. So you're fighting the heat that the machine itself creates.
24 hours a day, 365 days a year. You can't turn the AC off, ever. In a climate like ours, the air conditioning often consumes more electricity than the servers themselves.
That's an incredible thought. You're paying more to cool the computer than to run it.
And that brings us to the next point, the hardware lifecycle trap. Because this stuff doesn't last. Servers age like milk, not wine. After 5 years, they're basically obsolete. They're slow, they're out of warranty, parts are a nightmare to find.
And this is where the Nepali context bites you again, right? When it's time to upgrade, you don't just order a new one, you run into the government.
The protectionist policies, correct. Nepal has steep import duties and VAT on IT equipment. The idea historically was to protect domestic industry. But let's be real.
There is no domestic server manufacturing industry to protect.
We don't make silicon chips here, so these tariffs just artificially inflate the cost of doing business. You're paying a premium to the government every 5 years just to stay modern.
It's essentially a tax on modernization.
Yeah.
So how does the SaaS model change that math?
With SaaS, you have zero interaction with customs. The
Yeah.
cloud provider, Microsoft, Google, whoever, they handle all the hardware refreshes on a global scale. They buy servers by the 100,000. They absorb the depreciation.
And the import duties.
You just pay your subscription fee. You completely bypass that friction. You're importing the capability without importing the actual metal.
That alone sounds like a huge headache removed. But the report says there's something even more expensive than the hardware or the diesel, human capital.
This might be the most critical hidden cost of all. You can buy a server if you have the money, but can you find the people to run it properly? We are facing a massive brain drain in the IT sector.
That's for sure.
The pool of skilled sysadmins, database experts, cybersecurity pros. It's shallow because so many are migrating for better opportunities abroad.
Every business owner I talk to struggles to hire senior IT staff. And when you find them, they are not cheap.
They command premium salaries, often benchmarked against international rates because they can work remotely for foreign companies. And if you have an on-premise system, you absolutely need that in-house team for patching, security, troubleshooting.
And then there's the bus factor, right? If you have one genius who knows everything and they leave for Sydney,
You're in serious trouble. All that institutional knowledge just walked out the door. Now contrast that with SaaS. You aren't just buying software, you are, in effect, leasing the capabilities of a global workforce of thousands of world-class engineers.
that's a great way to frame it. You're not just renting software, you're renting an army of experts.
Exactly. You don't have to compete in that scarce local talent pool just to keep the lights on. You outsource the headache.
I get that. But I have to play devil's advocate. I know what people in boardrooms from Burgunj to Biratnagar are thinking.
I think I know where this is going. The control argument.
Exactly, the emotional argument. Yeah, can we really risk our company's data living on a server in Mumbai or Singapore?
Yeah.
It's all about data sovereignty. People feel that if the data is in the next room, it's safe. If it's across the border, it's vulnerable.
It's a very common objection, and it comes from a good place. But the analysis calls this the data sovereignty paradox.
Yeah.
It argues that this fear makes you prioritize a theoretical geopolitical risk over very real, immediate local threats.
Okay, break that down. What's the reality check on security?
Let's just talk physical security. Compare a locked room in a commercial building in Thamel to a global data center. Is there an armed guard at your specific server room door 24/7? Is there biometric access?
Probably not. It's a standard lock, a keypad maybe.
Mhm.
The building guard is probably watching YouTube. And honestly, breaking into an office isn't exactly mission
No.
impossible.
It's vulnerable to burglary, a disgruntled employee, a fire. Now, an AWS or Google data center, those are fortresses. Perimeter fences, vehicle crash barriers, biometrics, constant surveillance. The physical security is just objectively massively superior.
Okay, fair point on burglars. But what about the really big one, the earthquake? We all remember 2015.
This is a huge one. If a major earthquake hits and your office building is damaged, what happens to your data? The disaster recovery plan for most on-premise setups is, what, a backup tape in a manager's house?
Which means if the whole area is affected, your data is gone. Or at least inaccessible for weeks. Your business just stops.
It stops dead. The cloud is built for this. They use what are called availability zones. Your data isn't just on one server, it's automatically replicated across geographically distinct locations. If the Mumbai data center goes down, your services fail over to Hyderabad or Singapore instantly.
So the level of business continuity you just can't build yourself.
Not without spending a fortune.
Okay, so the cloud wins on physical resilience. But what about hackers? The internet is dangerous.
The internet is dangerous, but who is better equipped to fight that war? The analysis makes a sharp point here. The real, everyday threat isn't a foreign government trying to steal your inventory list. It's ransomware.
Right. Criminal gangs, Locking up your files and demanding crypto. It's been happening a lot lately.
And an individual Nepali firm with maybe 2 IT staff and a limited budget simply cannot compete with the cybersecurity spending of a global provider. These companies spend billions with a B on security. They have teams fighting state-sponsored attacks 24/7.
It's like defending your house with a stick versus hiring a private army.
That's a perfect analogy. The report concludes that your operational sovereignty, your actual ability to keep your business running, is compromised daily by trying to defend your own weak perimeter.
So we've hit costs, talent, and security. But the report goes further, moving from just saving money to making money. It talks about agility as a competitive moat.
Yes. This is where the conversation shifts from the CFO's office to the CEO's office. It reframes the debate from CapEx versus OpEx to something they call frozen capital versus elasticity.
Frozen capital, I like that. What does it mean here?
Think about it. That 10 million rupees you spend on servers, that money is gone. It's locked away in a depreciating metal box. It's frozen. It can't be used for anything else.
Right. You can't use that money to run a marketing campaign or open a new distribution hub in the West or for R&D.
Exactly. In an economy like ours where capital can be tight, tying up your liquidity in non-core infrastructure is a strategic mistake. It makes you rigid.
Which brings us to elasticity. The report had a great example with an FMCG company during Dashain.
Yes. So your FMCG company runs a huge Dashain campaign. It's a wild success. Demand surges, transaction volumes triple. Your on-premise system is getting hammered. It's slowing down. What do?
Well, you start a very long process.
A very long process. You have to forecast, get quotes, get approval, order the new hardware, wait for it to ship from abroad, wait for it to clear customs.
Which can take weeks.
Then install it, configure it. By the time you're ready, Dashain is over. You missed the window. Your customers got frustrated.
But in the SaaS reality,
it's a few clicks. Or it's automatic. You tell the provider you need more complexity, and it's there instantly. You pay more during that rush, and then you scale back down when things are quiet. You only pay for what you use.
it's like electricity. You don't build a new power plant to turn on more lights.
And this isn't just theory. The report points to our neighbors. Look at the textile exporters in Bangladesh, the tech startups in Bangalore. They grew explosively because they didn't sink their capital into server rooms. They treated infrastructure like a utility and focused their money on their actual business.
It's a powerful lesson. We can't be weighed down by heavy metal anchors if we want to compete regionally.
And that's the perfect transition to the future outlook. The analysis predicts a divergence in Nepal's corporate landscape.
A split between the cloud natives and the on-premise holdouts.
Yes. The companies clinging to on-premise will be burdened by high fixed costs, legacy anchors. They just won't be able to move as fast. But the report says a lot of this depends on government regulation.
The two scenarios. Scenario A was the status quo.
Which is the danger zone. If we have regulatory ambiguity, unclear data localization policies, businesses get forced into these messy, inefficient hybrid models. It's the worst of both worlds. You're paying for the cloud, but also maintaining local servers just to tick a box for an auditor.
But then there's scenario B, acceleration.
The optimistic path. If the Ministry of Communication and Information Technology creates a clear whitelisting framework saying these trusted global clouds are approved, it could catalyze a massive digital transformation. It would attract foreign investment, too.
So policy matters. But the report says the biggest enemy isn't the government or the cost. It's cultural inertia.
It's the mindset, that feeling we started with, the belief that ownership equals control. It's hard to let go of that. But the closing argument is profound. True control comes from financial agility, not physical possession.
The blinking green light isn't a sign of safety, it's a warning light.
A warning light for obsolescence. It's telling you your capital is tied up in a wrong place.
That's a heavy thought. So to recap for everyone listening, letting go of the server rack is about liberating your business. It's freeing up capital, solving the talent crisis, securing your data against real threats, and giving yourself the agility to compete.
It's about making infrastructure invisible so you can focus on what you actually do best.
Well, you've definitely changed how I'll see a server room from now on. It's not a cold room, it's a pile of frozen cash.
That's a very accurate way to put it.
Before we sign off, we always like to leave our listeners with a final thought to chew on. We've talked about servers, but this idea goes deeper.
It does. I want you to reflect on this. We've established that the server room, something you can touch and feel, is actually a huge liability. So, what other assets or traditional practices are you holding on to in your business simply because they feel safe?
That's the real question.
Are you holding on to old inventory systems, management styles, even office real estate just because that's how we've always done it? What else is in your comfort zone that's actually your biggest anchor?
A little audit of our business assumptions. That's a great place to end. Thank you so much for breaking this all down. It's been a fascinating deep dive.
My pleasure.
And thank you all for listening. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.